Hi, welcome to another video of Carli 8. Remember July and August 2020, two Arch ISO updates, a lot of changes in them, and well, I needed like 3-4 hours to figure it out. And that's always the point. If you are working or want to start with your own distro, you need to figure it out. Nobody's gonna help you, and you need to analyze what might be the culprit, and it's sometimes difficult. We have the message, we have journaled CTL, we have accession errors. There are things we can take a look at, but eventually it's still common sense and reasoning and analyzing what's wrong. Now, one of the things that is a very big change in these versions is, that is the one. So clean up your system. So I've just built it and everything works fine. So I'm cleaning it up because work and out should not be there, because it's well, it will work, but it will be very hard for Melt to have a operating system, comparing an operating system, right? So this is the difference. We have a difference in here for the make init CPU. At some point in time, of course, you go, and I had a look as well. So Arch Wiki, make init CPU, and you read everything, right? Read everything you can get, and you try to get ideas what's going on, what's missing. And this is something you should remember: make init CPU -p, the preset Linux. We're gonna use it later on. So I was reading and reading, said it has to be in that region because this is new, right? Before this was not there. Make init CPU. All the rest is more or less the same, just some extra text up here. So you think and you compare, and Melt is so super useful for that. Then you compare the build. The build script changed considerably as well, right? This is all gone. It's all new. Make base file system, and here it says make custom Arch ISO root file system. It's pointing to, at some point in time, to make init as well. So I don't know if it was like this, make init CPU, or here, control find, make init. Here they are. So let's do that again. Control find all the yellow things, right? Are present on the left, Carli 7, are not present anywhere in Carli 8. So the major change was, of course, clear. Something changed with make init CPU Arch ISO. It's gone, doesn't exist anymore. So for that reason, I think I did the next sensible thing. I don't know what it was, but it's a process, right? It's an analyzing process, and you go and have a look at anything you have on your current system. How is the current system working? And here we have a Linux preset. It says there's a default image, default init RAM fs image, which we did not see in the video. When we booted up our Carli 8, we saw the line from Linux, but we did not see the line from initram file system. Okay, so lines are missing to be able to boot up. We have the kernel that we have taken care of via calamares. We've renamed it as well to VM Linux. Cool, but we were missing this. So that's something we've changed. Yeah, I think that covers it. Let's take a look at the code. Carli 8. Right mouse click. Let's go for git ahead and have a look. So this is just git ignore, saying never push the work folder out and out folder in the work folder. Don't put it on GitHub. It's way too big, right? So just omit those guys. Ignore them. And this is what changed. So the Linux preset used to be Arch ISO, and I've added default and fall back to it, telling that the default image is copy paste from what you saw, this thing, that thing, and that this one is auto-detect Linux fallback. The make init_cpu.conf is gone. Well, it's gone in the sense at the top level. It's gone, but it's of course present here. So like here, so this file is present and it's exactly the same thing as we had prior. So compression exets and all these lines, all the hooks are present as well. So basically nothing changed, but we don't need the one that used to be here somewhere up here. Okay, where is my Carli? Here it is. So that's out. And then at some point in time, because of testing, right, we decided let's get rid of KDE applications meta, which is actually a meta package for other meta packages, which brings in 1 gigabyte. Now with this out of the package list here, I don't have a file manager, I don't have a terminal, and I don't have an editor. So I've added Dolphin, Console, and K to it. So now we have a 1.3.4 gigabyte ISO with a minimal packages, so not all the games, not all the rest. So there are groups, you can decide to install meta groups. But that's just Lego blocks, right? But this is important. Now, everything booted up. Did everything boot up, Eric? Let's think again. We got an error. That's it. We got an error. We remember that we made Carli, calamares. Nope. That we got, well, this is fixed as well. Remember in one of the videos that we needed to change the name in here. No, not Eric. So remember this word Linux. This is also concerns also the make init CPO. So it's going to use the -p, like we just saw on the website, -p, and then it's going to use this word Linux. Okay, so that concerns the same issue about make init CPO, but where is it? What we need to change was packages. No. Remove users, unpack, that's it. So this one we needed to change as well. So the name change from two things, the Intel U code, then AMD U code, an underscore and a dash, yeah. And here we have VM Linux to VM Linux. So that's done as well. That we did that prior. But it's all intermixed. It's all it has to play together. All the pieces of the puzzle need to work. And when I boot it up, and luckily, and that's a good advice as well, Eric, luckily, maybe you should go to ArcoLinux and then github.com, yeah, fine, calamares, and then make sure you get all the information possible about all the pushes, all the GitHub, all the issues that people post. So I see a lot of information that something has changed. So you can log in and then watch. You must be signed in to watch a repository. So a lot of info. I see a lot of info, and it's actually a little bit better than just reading the releases, because you get lots more information than this summary, because they're always, well, they're not going to write everything down in detail. So it's always a summary that we'll see here. So I knew that there was a lot of work done on the module of users. And when I booted up, yeah, that's true. When I booted up, I did not get inside SDDM, although we can boot up. Let's build in the meantime. Let's do that as well. There you go. although I could boot up, I couldn't log in. I saw my cursor and I saw a black screen and I said, what the hell, SDDM is not working. What I did then was actually ask, what's your status? Sudo systemctl, right? What is the status of SDDM? In my case, LightDM, because I'm on XFCE, right? So there is some information that you get. And I saw some errors about PAM. Indeed, there's something here in here as well, but I can boot, right? In Carli SDDM, everything got stuck because the user was not recognized. But, well, first of all, of course, you go and have a look at PAM. What is PAM? What is systemd? What is the error message? And you Google, and then suddenly it hit me. Maybe the calamares version is not the right version, is not implementation for the users for Plasma, might be even desktop related, is maybe still off, and we need still to do some work on it. So once I was down that road, I said, okay, I'm gonna rebuild myself a calamares. So Carli, calamares config, no, that's the result. Carli package build, calamares. I built me this one, so 3.228, and I saw that there was a user mod issue, so I rebuilt an ISO with this particular calamares. Didn't work. Now this one doesn't work either, so that's version 3, so it does not work. What did work? The 3.2.27.1. So look, let's go down, let's go further in time before all the changes to this module of users was made. So I built this guy, I've put it on the Carli repo, not working. Here are the guys that not working. And we're working now with Carli, this is my Carli of course, with 3.2.27.1. That's the one we're installing, and it was a little bit difficult because sometimes it was getting me the old one, so the one that's not working. So what you do, you check in here that you get the correct version. Do check it. Certainly if you have changed a lot of things, these versions need to be the proper versions. Sometimes it gets cache from somewhere, I don't know where it gets it, but it gave me the 28, right? Where I wanted to have the 27 to test. So after a few seconds, okay, finally it gave me the correct one. So yes, it was a calamares issue, but in the meantime I was, what I did as well was take a look at, is it an SDM thing? Another tip, another thing I did is the VirtualBox thing. So I burned it on the ISO and built it and installed it on my laptop, and everything installed fine, except again SDDM would not launch. There was an error in SDDM. I said maybe it's an SDDM thing today, right? Can be that there is a problem with SDDM, always possible, but there's also possible that it's a VirtualBox issue. I remember 4 years ago I was building Arch Labs, and I was building for 2 days until, well, I got lots of errors on VirtualBox until at some point in time I thought maybe it's a VirtualBox issue. Burn it on the ISO, and yes, everything worked. So you can spend a lot of time looking in the wrong places and then lose a lot of time. By the way, we're looking at the etc make init CPO Linux preset default. Here we are, right? Arch ISO, here's the default, and here is the fallback. So that's new. All right, he's creating the ISO. Have I mentioned everything? Because it's important, right? I think it's more important to be able to solve things, analyze things, than actually push a button and or say build this script. So that's my train of thoughts. Make init CPU, figure that out. Next big chunk was downgrading calamares, see if it's a calamares issue. Well, first in between, I thought it was an SDDM issue, so I installed LightDM and a LightDM GTK greeter, enabled LightDM, and yes, it worked. So there must be some problem with SDDM, I thought, but it said something about user not recognized, and that triggered it. I thought that's the calamares module users, they're working on that. And now we have a system that will be installing anytime soon now. So let's pause the video. I hope I've said really everything, but it all needs to work together. Calamares, your configuration of calamares, and there are some things to do still. Maybe that's better for another video, but we are going to install Plasma without issues. But since ArchISO is built for ArchISO and not for anybody else, it leaves an ArchISO image behind. And that, of course, we don't want. So you clean it up. Yes, there are easy ways. In here, we don't want to see ArchISO image. It's not used anymore. We just need to use these guys. So that's something that we need to add in the calamares configuration. So Carli, this one, etc, calamares, modules, shell process. We can add a shell process to remove a particular file. Why not do it while he's still working? Remove, well, I'm too tired to type all that. Control C, Control V. And it's called ArchISO. I hope it's not capitals, I'm not sure, don't think so. And it's in boot. So this one can go, save already, but there is still something else that's also a leftover. So this is the kind of, let's get rid of the leftovers, right? Have a clean operating system afterwards. There is one left over, and that's, it's finished. So Super F7, Carli, let's really check out. So Carli 8 out, 732, fine. That's the one. Double click. Carli install medium. I understand it's a little bit dry, this video, right? I'm well, thinking back in time what I did to analyze everything, because it's otherwise it would be a film of 4 hours, right? You need to concentrate and think about things. Why is not blah blah blah, and you need to figure it out. Install system. So the point is, we are on 3.2.27-1. So the -1 is me, and calamares is from the GitHub 3.2.27. And off we go. Server is still down from Plasma. Belgian, cool. Erase disk, fine. And now we go for the complex password. Correct. So I tried in login and without login and with login. So I never got into the SDDM login. Never saw it. It was always a black screen with a cursor. It was not the cursor from Plasma. It was a cursor on the black one. I don't know which one. Which means I didn't get through to SDDM. Looked at the configuration file, how to log in and all that. No, it was simply calamares. Always think, always continue to try, compare with meld until you figured it out. Let's pause the video now. It seemed it was hanging at 64%, but finally there is. We can restart. And of course, we're not going to use the ISO to boot from, but from the hard disk, or in this case, the virtual machine. And we have this grub. We can have a look with E. Remember, if you want to change something, if something goes wrong, you can edit these things and then type in here. So escape, ArcoLinux, and let's boot up. This is the cursor we want to see. That's the greeter we want to have. This is Plasma for you, right? So finally we have our system. Everything is up and running again after all these changes. And the thing I still need to do is going to tell to the system, basically, it's okay. I mean, I can leave it, it's gonna be fine, but it's you know, perfection. We do strive to have perfection. Why am I saying that? I'm gonna include this in the video too. That's interesting for you to know. That we have here Ctrl+Shift+3, like so. We boot up and we have the Linux kernel and we have the init RAM file systems and the fallback we have created thanks to the fact that we have set to the system that we'd like to have this Linux preset. It's just reading what we did. But what it still says is Arch ISO. Now at this point in time, it's not needed anymore. We boot up and that's the way Arch ISO works, so we can't touch it. But now we can delete it. So what I like to do at some point in time, maybe later, seeing the hour already, is get rid of this particular text, delete this particular line, and then delete the file that we now have lost. So in boot, we can get rid of this. Because what happens if there are updates and installations and so on, at some point in time is going to ask the -p Linux. And it's going to read the preset. Oh yeah, difficult password. Now look at the hour. 7:40, right? 7:36, 7:37, 36, 7:30. Look at that. But 7:40 is now. Enter. It's going to build the Arch ISO. It's just reading the preset, right? So this guy just changed from time. This guy is 7:40, just changed from time. And if we're in luck, but I don't think so, not 7:41, but also the other one, 7:40. If you run this script, if you run this command, right, we're getting new files here, but also the Arch ISO. Look at this, the number going up here. It's still building the fallback, which is a little bit bigger. Let me pause. All right, let's continue. I need to log in again. So I was talking about make this command that you see here, make init cpio -p Linux. So these things have been updated, and you could do also a grub update if you wanted to. Grub, and then make something, make config where output it to boot grub, and then the story is complete. Why? Let's see, that's it, CFG. Oh, the complex password again. I'm just showing you that because again, it involves VM Linux, and it involves init RAM file system. So these files here. So there you are. That's my next agenda, to do a cleanup for these particular files. But more importantly, we have an operating system that works, and that's fine. That we can Ctrl+Alt+T update to the backman -s YYU. Okay, there we go, and so on, and have fun with it. So that's Carli 8, and we'll stop for this day. All right, cheers.